We know that we've had a couple of retirements within the department heads at the city. We know that we've got probably 3 or 4 additional retirements that might come along in the next year or two. We've heard you respond about the fact that you would look to see if you could find savings and so forth through efficiencies in reviewing the departments. Explain to us what your process will be in hiring and identifying new department heads over the next probably 1 to 2 years. What process will you go through, and what prior experience have you had hiring new department heads?
There are 8 department heads currently. 4 of them will have retired by next December. The fire chief retired in August. The human resources director retires next month. The police chief retires in March. The finance director will retire in next year. And so, and giving all credit to Brent, his experience in state government, I don't think translates that well to city government. I've been there for 18 years, and I would tell you that nobody knows city government like I do, except for maybe Tom Hanson. So day one, I'm ready to go to work. As far as experience, I've been in the interview process of department heads. I helped hire the finance director. I helped hire the city clerk. I sat in on the police chief's hiring interview process. So I've been through that in a lead role from the city council. In business, I ran retail department. I did hiring and firing there. I'm familiar with that. We will have, through attrition, an opportunity, I think, to cut some of those costs we talked about earlier. I think that's an appropriate way to do it. Hopefully that we can plan ahead in that 2-year time frame and make adjustments in staffing doing that. But we need somebody that's ready to go to work on day one. And if it takes 6 months to 12 months to learn the job, which it will take Brent, who hasn't even bothered to take the time to come to a council meeting or a study session to learn the job, I think that the choice is clear.
Thanks to CB 17, the council meetings are online, so that's a nice place to watch them and hear what's going on. In terms of experience, and for the last 22 years, I have been involved in being the leader of the Iowa House of Representatives, a very large operation. And for the last 11 years after that, I've been the executive director of the statewide organization. So, the mayor's job is a job as a chief administrator or chief executive. I have a more than adequate amount of experience doing that. I've run different agencies, if you will, different departments in the legislature. Every one of the departments you have in city government, there's something similar at the state level, and so we've gone through those budgeting processes and we've gone through all of those different things. So I do think that I'm certainly prepared for that. I have not just helped hire people, I've hired people, done national searches in both of those areas where I've been at the head of the organization. And so I've gone through those processes of advertising, placing advertising in national, national places, brought them in with a group of people, and then made the final decisions on who to hire, and also, unfortunately, a few times who to fire. So in terms of actually having experience with the question of how do you hire department heads, been there, done that, and I think I have a very good experience in that. As to the question of how, I think you bring a group of people together, and I think a pertinent question, the good news, I guess, is that Council Bluffs will be able to attract very talented candidates for all of those positions, because there's a lot going on here, and we've got a lot ahead of us in a very, very bright future. So I think in terms of, maybe 20 years ago or so, you wouldn't have been able to attract maybe as good quality candidates as you want to. I think we'll attract great candidates. I think there are probably some candidates internally when you look at fire and police departments, but I think you also have to look at outside and see who's actually out there that would come into our city. So I feel very comfortable. Don't worry about it. You don't run the state house and a statewide organization without having at least a little bit of knowledge about how to run an organization. Hopefully